Greetings once again and welcome to today's session. Um, I'm glad to have you on board. I am going to start immediately. Today we are going to cover how to choose the right business type. Last week we covered how to start and grow, and we tackled a number of things. So basically we covered different frameworks that you can use to come up with an idea. We also covered how to identify and apply the right marketing strategy. Today's session is going to focus solely on how to choose the right business type. And I'll give a brief intro of what Telispac Digital is and why we are putting up these sessions. Then I will proceed to invite our featured expert who will pick it from there. So Telispac Digital is a forward-thinking digital solutions agency. We are committed to building and growing brands, whether business, entrepreneur, and individual freelancers, NGOs, basically any idea that should be transformed into a business and scaled, we are in for that. So that is who we are. And within Telispac Digital, we have a wing that we call Telispac Academy. And this division was created solely to train and mentor the youth and business people and entrepreneurs. So basically, that's our mission, to bridge the opportunity gap by empowering entrepreneurs and any leader out there with practical digital skills, business skills, and leadership skills. Our impact, the impact we are aiming to realize is twofold. Number one, we are aiming at building a talent pipeline, which basically will comprise of skilled individuals who would have gone through our trainings, mentorship, and learning sessions, and have gained the needed skills to position them ahead in the job market. Secondly, we are keen on building an entrepreneur network, a network that will comprise of business people, leaders, and anyone who is out there to drive change. We are keen on bringing them on board under one umbrella to form a network so that we can share ideas, we can collaborate, we can benefit from referrals, and we can also create job opportunities among ourselves and also with external people. So basically, that is what we are aiming at. So these sessions are actually a platform aimed at helping us realize this larger goal. Yeah, so I will proceed to invite our speaker. I believe we are all ready to hear from him. So our speaker is called Eric Okoth, and Eric Okoth is a business consultant and a practitioner in tax and accounting. Spanning over 10 years of experience, he is currently the managing director of Ecloth Consultants and a director of Joytech Enterprises Limited, an electrical construction firm. He is the one we are going to have. I'll invite him. He will go over a few things he prepared for us. And afterwards, I will bring on board Mr. Eric Oduor, who will help moderate and take questions as we continue. So once again, it's a joy to have you on board. And I want to invite Eric Okoth to pick it up from there. So Mr. Eric Okoth, you're welcome.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I want to believe I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Allow me to take us through a few topics which we are supposed to discuss tonight. And also thank you for availing yourself so that we can have this together as a team, purposely for the growth. We have to understand that currently there are dynamics in terms of the courses we pursue in school vis-a-vis the job market. This is informing what we're discussing today about the businesses which people would venture into, even as we also seek the employment opportunities from wherever we need to look for them. So I want us to look at different types of businesses and basically choosing the right business type that suits you, depending on what you want to do. Allow me to touch on a few areas on factors to consider when you are choosing a business type or a business structure. The first one is the legal requirements and the compliance level. The choice of business you are choosing solely depends on the legal framework. It depends on the nature of the law that will guide that business. In a nutshell, different field you're practicing law, you'll need other requirements from the LSK to allow you practice. Thirdly, the nature of business, which we shall touch on, will speak more of these legal and compliance requirements. The second thing to consider is the tax implication of the business you want to engage in. Different businesses have different tax rates according to Kenyan laws. So we shall see that as we touch on this the business types. We have also the limit, the liability and the risk level or the risk management. Different types, the sole proprietorship firm or type of business has a different nature of liability level as compared to a limited company. We shall touch more on that as we proceed. The fourth one is the funding or the capital outlay as we want to start. Some nature of businesses need more capital to start, right from registration and to laying down structures, as compared to others, as we shall see going forward. The fifth one is the ownership and control. Some businesses will need more of departments in order for it to pick up. So on this note, you will see the differences on types of businesses and how and what to choose. So those are a few things we need to consider before we choose what businesses or what type of business to start or to engage in. The choosing a business, first of all, starts from the idea. You have an idea which you have in your mind. Idea can come from what you see from whatever these places we engage in. You can see something out of whatever you've seen, an idea rises up. An idea which you've conceived is getting transformed into a business entity in your mind before you actually register one. So before we register any business, we need to have an idea of what we have and what we would foresee that business looking like. Quickly, let me touch on a few areas. Then I link that with these factors to consider before starting one. We have about 4 or 5. We have about four major types. First one is sole proprietorship. Second one is partnership. Third one is limited company. Fourth one is NGO. Allow me to start and speak briefly about sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, this is a business or an entity owned by one person, a single individual. That is sole proprietorship. This is where one person comes and decides, I want to operate a business. One person comes, then decides to operate a business. Like you wake up, you want to start some supplies business in a school. You said you've engaged the head teacher and you want to make a supply of food products in the school. At some point, they will, in some institution, they strictly want you to have a business. Then you decide to form a business, which you can easily form. So one of the nature of sole proprietorship is it can be formed easily. Secondly, it is cheaper to start or to register it. Thirdly, it is easy to manage because you are only one person. Registration process of a sole proprietorship is guided by the Business Registration Act. In the Business Registration Act, business sole proprietorship is registered under business names. So you come up with 3 names. I think we need to get that clearly. One, it is this is a legal process. So one of the factors to consider, according to what we see, with what I stated earlier, is the legal requirements. So in sole proprietorship, the legal process is registration, where you register it under business name. You make application via eCitizen under your personal eCitizen account. If person A wants to register a business, at some point, I believe they have a eCitizen account. If they don't have, they create one under eCitizen platform. In the registration process, you come up with 3 names, 3 proposed names. Secondly, you'll be required to have the 3 proposed names. They should be in order of priority. Number 1, number 2, number 3. The reason why you are coming with 3 proposed names, if the committee who chooses the names sees the first name has already been registered by someone within the country, then they will go to the second name. If they find that the second name is registered, then they will go to the third name and pick the third name. If in an event the 3 names are registered, you'll be advised to come up with 3 fresh names. Now, in the registration process, after coming with the 3 names, you'll need to have an email account for the company or the proposed business name. Thirdly, you'll have the location of the business where you plan to start it. You also will need to provide the postal address of the place where you want to start the business. Also, you'll be required to provide information of the sole proprietor, who is yourself. You'll be required to give in information in terms of the residential address, personal number, email address, and the postal address. In several instances or several cases which I've dealt with, you'll just see the postal address being shared. No? The personal one and the one for the business will still remain the same. So, most importantly, sole proprietorship is just owned by one person and is cheap to register. Registration cost, which is being paid on eCitizen platform, is 950. Now, because it's a legal process, you'll need an expert or somebody who will guide you through, a professional who will guide you through the registration. That it will attract a different fee for the person who is doing this. So in addition to 950, the other person might also charge you. So charging depends on the person you've engaged. Let me touch on the partnership. The partnership is a business owned by 2 or more. It's a business owned by 2 or more persons. So these two persons who register sole proprietors can decide to come up and use a partnership. Now, the partnership, we have 2 forms of partnership. We have the general partnership, and then we have limited liability partnership, LLPs. I believe you've seen some businesses registered LLPs. More so the law firms, the accounting firms. You will see them, the name is A and B LLPs, or a whatever name, then LLP. So that is a limited liability partnership. The difference between the two is the general partnership takes a similar structure of a proprietorship firm. One, the liability still is on the partners. They are unlimited. The word unlimited liability means, here that when there is some whatever nature of liability the business has, then the all is vested, or the all is carried by the sole proprietor. The same happens in general partnership, where the limited liability, the liabilities of the partnership is being vested on the partners. They're the ones to share the liabilities, whatever amount. That's the general. But the limited liability partnership is where there is a limited liability partner who has given an amount in the partnership, which is only what to be considered where there's a liability, or where there's bill, or there's credit by the partnership. And there's also another partner who has unlimited liability, where if there is a liability to be shared, then that person foots that liability alone. Another example, when there's a liability of $1 million of the partnership, limited liability partnership, then one of the partners say that with me, I've invested in this partnership about 250,000. And that is the only money I have. When such arises, then the limited liability partnership only consider the 250, not anything beyond that. But for the unlimited partner, they can go and collect more money, the excess from that person. That's the difference. The registration cost of a partnership is 25,000, which is being paid on the limit on the e-citizen portal. The procedure of registration remain the same. Follow the same procedure. The requirements remain the same, apart from the cost. The requirements remain the same. Actually, requirements, most of the requirements remain the same all through. All through. Most of the requirements remains all through for these different types of the businesses. But what differs is the cost. In terms of, we talked about what to consider. In terms of funding, limited liability, in terms of funding, partnership will depend on the money from the partners. So it's likely to attract more depending on what you want to engage in. Registration also, you've seen the cost has gone high. In terms of tax implications, partnership, we need to get this thing clearly. In partnership, you do your taxes on the partnership, but the tax is eventually being shared to the partners. So the tax is being footed by the partners, not the partnership. On the annual, or we call it partnership, income tax partnership, the annual one, the end year one. But we have other obligations which are monthly. The monthly are okay, are being handled by the partnership. But the final tax at the end of the year is being shared by the partners. In other words, when a partnership has made a total of profit or a certain amount, and there's a tax of about 300,000 to be paid by a partnership, the 300 tax is not going to be paid directly by the partnership, but we are going to share it in terms of profit and sharing ratio of the partners. So if A add 3 to 2, then A will take the 3 of the 300, and B will take 2 of 300 in terms of sharing ratios. In terms of growth, the partnership has potential of growth as opposed to sole proprietorship, because partnership, when one partner dies, the other one can proceed. But in the sole proprietorship, when that sole proprietor is grounded, whether he's sick or is unable to conduct the business, then everything becomes a standstill. We've seen that cases where a partner was doing a very good business, but when the person passes on, the business dies. Because if you register, you can't transfer it to somebody else. So that is how it works. For the partnership, there is possibility of growth as compared to sole proprietorship, but not to other business types. Let me touch on limited company. Limited company are two in nature. We have private and public. The difference between the two is on shares. All the two types of limited company, they issue shares. So in the private, they only issue shares to the directors and the shareholders. Public issue shares to the public. In other words, in most cases, the public will see where they float shares in the, we call it, what do you call it? Let me just check. Like the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the capital market, they float their shares in the market so that people can subscribe. A good example is the Safaricom, Kenya Power, these government entities, you see that some people, even any other person who does not know much about the company can buy shares. So that is a public limited company. There are one thing that they share is all of them have shares. Secondly, all of them have limited liability. In other words, when this company owes some creditors, then only the shares or the assets of the company is considered, not of the directors. So that's why the word limited is coming in. The word limited is only to the whatever is owned by the company, not with the directors. So in terms of tax implication, they bear their own tax. The limited companies bear their own tax at 30% of the net income in Kenya. The net income is the difference between a gross income and expenses. So the net income is being taxed at 30% for the local companies or the resident companies. For the non-resident, in other words, for the foreign companies, is at 37.5%. That's the difference. In terms of funding, it is higher compared to the partnership and the sole proprietorship. While registration process attract 10,650 to register, that is minus the legal expenses for the person who is going to do the process for you. So the cost is higher. Secondly, in terms of the structures, it will attract more funds to do it. Then the issue of growth is also there. There's possibility of growth in a limited company as opposed to private, to partnership, also proprietorship, because you've seen companies which you can operate branches because you have structures. You can have directors, you can have managers in different departments. So you can have branches, but in sole proprietorship, you can't easily have that because whoever will be there want to be a branch manager. But in these other companies, you've seen Naivas, these banks here, and even other private limited companies which have branches, not only in one place, but they can have branches in different cities or different parts of the country because they can post branch manager and other leadership in that places, as opposed to partnership and the other one. Terms of ownership and control is being owned by shareholders. Shareholders can have can appoint more so in the public limited company. The shareholders can appoint the management, board of management. So you own the shares, but you don't run the company. You do other things. You only get earnings from the shares you own, but the management takes the control. They only report to the shareholders, as opposed to partnership where you all do all these things alone. You fund alone, you manage alone, you do a lot of things alone. But here you can delegate the duties to the management because you can remain only as a shareholder. In terms of I've said growth is okay. I think I've touched on that. Now, in the limited company, we have private and we have public. Then there is one also we called limited company limited by guarantee. Limited by guarantee companies, they take a similar structure. They take a similar structure of a partnership, but the liability is all limited to what is owned by the company. In this case, mostly are NGOs in this country. You can register NGO, but to make sure that you are safe in terms of tax implication and any other things which might come, then you go for a company limited by guarantee. In this case, there's no shares, but whoever are there are only guarantors. There are no shares. I think so far. Then let me touch on briefly on the last one. We have also foreign branch. Foreign branch. Foreign branch, you have international companies who would like to come and invest in Kenya. You can't invest or you can't open a company or you can't operate in Kenya without opening a branch. Currently, I'm doing one case. I'm dealing with just one case at hand. It's an international company, several other branches in other countries. But here, you have to also open a branch. So in this case, the foreign company will also follow the same procedures of a limited company. You have to or register one or come with the names and the location of the business. With that brief one, allow me to stop there and be guided on the next step. Thank you. Moderator, you can pick it up now.
My name is Eric Dur. I am going to be a moderator for today. First, I would want to thank our presenter for the insightful presentation. It was really eye-opening and really a platform for learning. Now, we want to take a few questions, if there are any, which I believe we should be having questions. So, so either you could possibly type in the chat box, as well as you could possibly just find a way of indicating that you intend to ask questions which are related to our topic of discussion for the day. Now, as you wait for participants to ask questions, I have this question to you on different types of businesses. I know you highlighted, that is to our presenter, that is Eric. You highlighted vividly on factors to consider when deciding on a particular type of business. And we got that right from cost implications, legal obligations, tax requirements, and so on and so forth. I want to ask a question on this particular individual who already has a type of business and would want to cross over to the other. What does it take? Is it something that is possible? I remember you highlighting on sole proprietorship. You said some of the benefits, like low cost to start it. It doesn't require a lot of capital, and so on and so forth. You talked about the disadvantages and the advantages of different types. Now, there is this individual, after you have talked about all this, and they feel, I think I have learned something. I've been running a sole proprietorship for the last 1 year, but I think from this discussion that we've just had, I think I need to move this from sole proprietorship to private limited company. What does it take? Is it something that is possible? And what are the implications of this?
Quickly, thank you for that. Yes, the answer is yes. You can move from one nature of business to the other. One, in terms of the factors to consider, in sole proprietorship, in terms of taxation in Kenya, if you register a sole proprietorship business, apart from a few cases where I highlight, you will be taxed on your personal PIN. In this case, when you do a business, you register a business of A and A enterprises, but you are Elijah, the tax implication will be on Elijah personal PIN because in sole proprietorship, there's no separate PIN. So when you convert it to a limited or a private limited company, it will have its own PIN. So the tax will be on its own PIN, not on your personal PIN. So in terms of conversion, we call it conversion. You can convert from sole proprietorship business to limited business, limited company business, or to partnership. Partnership you can convert by simply inviting more members or more partners. Then you can convert it to a partnership. In partnership also, there is also different PIN for the partners. But at the end of the day, I've said the tax will be on the partners because there is unlimited liability. But for the limited companies, the tax will be solely on the limited company. So conversion process, remains the same. When you want to come from sole proprietorship to partnership to limited company, the requirements I stated earlier for registering a limited company remains. Only what will happen that if you let's say you had a business name or a sole proprietorship business name by the name Ken Enterprises, when you convert it to a limited company, it will only add the name Limited, LTD in short, or Limited in full. So it will be Ken Enterprises Limited. Now, on that note, you'll pay the same fee, the same charges I said, and other requirements. All other requirements will remain the same. But before you do that conversion, the first step is to do what we call you close to convert. You close the sole proprietorship, then you convert. So the sole proprietorship will no longer in operation. It will be converted to a limited company or to a partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To our participants, we are in Q&A, questions and answers session. Our visiting expert is ready to answer all the questions that you may have concerning business types. And so far, so good. I really believe that you are learning. As I've said, if you have any questions, you can be free to raise it in the chat section. You can also just indicate by raising your hand or just excusing yourself so that we give you an opportunity to raise your question. And I really believe that we are really going to learn from the questions we are going to be asking going forward. Now, as we wait for members to ask questions, I still have a question to you on the same different types of businesses where we have a partnership. Now, we have a business setup. We normally say that where 2 or 3 people gather, we can never fail to have conflicts of interests where we move together. In one of the religious books I have read, I happen to be a reader of one of the spiritual books called the Bible. It is written inside there that 2 or 3 people cannot walk together unless they agree. So these 2 people come together, they register a partnership, they move they set up systems, business is up and running. We get to a point where this group of people are not able to read from the same script. What happens? We have our capital in, we've invested into this thing emotionally, spiritually. For some of us who pray, we have really prayed for it. Financially, we have put this a lot into this. Then suddenly, we get to a point that we are not able to agree to move together. What happens? I don't know whether you'll be in a position to help us address that. Back to you.
Thank you. Yes, it's very normal. In the business world, it's very normal to agree and also to disagree in some instances. So when you disagree in a partnership, one nature of partnership I said was unlimited liability. The moment you disagree, then if it was a partnership of two people, then it would cease to be a partnership because the partners themselves have disagreed. Now, you will have to do the legal way where you will have to effectively dissolve the business with the register of companies or the register of businesses, where we also register these businesses. They are being registered under the Business Registration Act with the Register of Businesses. So you also have to follow the same procedure, but since you are two in the partnership, when you disagree, then you will have to close the whole of it. But when you are three, but only one has disagreed with others, but the other two can remain, then there's no effect. Now, when you disagree, you can revert to be a sole proprietor. But when it goes to a sole proprietor, you'll have to come up with a totally new outfit of a business, because the partnership itself cannot be reduced to one person. It will be only a sole proprietor now. It won't be a partnership with one person. So it is possible that you can disagree, follow the normal procedure, because in terms of dissolution, there's a procedure outlined, coming up with what the business owes. You'll deal with the creditors, the current creditors, you settle the bills, and what remains at the end of the day, you will share based on the profit sharing ratio or on the guidance issued or as per advised by the legal person which will help you to take you through this. So it's possible, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that is well handled. There are a series of questions here that have been raised by the participants. I just want to read them one by one. There is one here from from Reinhard Bonke. Reinhard Bonke says, I have a business that I run alone, but it does not flow. What's the solution? I don't know exactly what you meant, but maybe our visiting expert will be able to help us unearth possibly what you meant by that. David Oluoch, on the other hand, is trying to ask some other question here on close to convert. I think that is one of the questions that was our guest talked about that while trying to address some of the questions that have been asked by the participants. So they're trying to seek more clarification on the same. And the question from David Oluoch is on close to convert. That statement is a technical term that came from our guest. Is it possible to use the same name without undergoing the process of searching the business name? And then again, David Oluoch is asking again, the benefits of limited compared to partnership. I think this was well handled, but still it's like the participant here is trying to ask you to maybe clarify more. There is a mix-up of concept there, so please, you could kindly shed more light on the same. Back to you, our guest.
Thank you for the questions. I've seen a question from Bonke. He's running a business alone, but it does not flow. Let me just touch all the questions one by one. The one from the first one, I have a business that I run alone, but it does not flow. What solution? The question I said is a bit open-ended because the factors that affects the business are diverse. So if it was related to the structure, in terms of what affects it, then I would advise. So you can paraphrase the question or you can expound on what you're asking so that I'll be able to give you a clear response. As I wait for that clarification, let me handle the two questions from David. It's talking about on close to convert, is it possible to use the same name without undergoing the process of searching? One, yes. Yes and no. The system of registration is designed that you have to come up with 3 names. And I said, when you come in with 3 names, they should be in order of priority. The order of priority means that they will start with what you prefer. So if the name of the sole proprietorship farm was A Enterprises, then you want to convert it to a private limited company, then you start with the name A. It will pick it because there's no any other business with that name, because you are just closing it and converting it. Because this is what happens if there's A Enterprises and there's A Enterprises Limited, the register will not give the 2 names. If one is registered, then the other one cannot be allowed to proceed unless the other one is closed. So even in this case, if there's 8 enterprises, you have to close it first, then you convert. I hope that one is clear. In other words, you have to pay some fee for the closing, then convert. Though the process is synchronous, is a one-step process, but one comes before the other. The closing comes before the conversion. The second bit of that question says that benefits of limited compared to partnership. One, in terms of cost implication, cost of running it, the limited company is somehow easier and is easier to run it because you can easily accessible to loans. There are a lot of advantages of limited compared to partnership because one, the nature of businesses that you cannot do when it's a partnership, because some of your clients or customers will say that if I miss to get these partners, then that's the end of the business with them. But in a limited companies, we have whom we call shareholders and directors who can easily change from one person to the other. Second, in terms of taxation, limited companies have a lot of advantages. I'm saying it is on terms of rates, it is 30% for the local company. But for the partnership, it's being taxed on the partners. So in a situation where a partner has several partnership, then the cost would be high because all those businesses will be taxed on the same partners. But for a limited company, whether you are a director, a shareholder in different companies, then the taxes are only in those companies, not on you. I believe that bit is answered. Then if another, even in terms of growth, the limited company has ability to grow as compared to partnership because of the structures it can have. It can easily even access funds, loans from the bank, because there's potential of growth, the liability nature of it. Let me touch on the question asked by...
Before you go to the question asked by Terry, maybe I would want you to weigh in on. We'll be coming back to you, Terry. Meanwhile, I want to encourage our participants to keep sending questions. We are in a Q&A, questions and answers session, and so far so good. I really believe that we are learning. So our guests, I would want you to respond on the question on director liability. We have registered business, maybe as a sole proprietorship or as a partnership, taking any shape or any structure or any type, as you have highlighted. What are some of the things that we can do to caution matters regarding director liability? Yes. Could you kindly weigh in on that before we get back to a few questions that are asked on the chat section, chat box? Yes.
I'm really trying to get you. You are breaking. I don't know whether is an internet on my end or your end. I'm missing some bit of your question.
Sorry. I don't know whether, I don't know, I could confirm with who here, whether you are able to hear me. Let me confirm with, I can see David, I can see Irene, I can see. Let me confirm with Reinhard. Reinhard, you are many. So let me confirm with David. I think that is clearer. David, can you be able to hear me?
Yes, you are very audible and clear.
Okay. So maybe let me just try to repeat. Sorry for that. Bwana Eric is our guest today, trying to help us understand the dynamics of business when it comes to settling for the right type of business. I don't know whether you can hear me properly now. Could you kindly confirm?
Yeah, proceed.
Thank you very much. So the question was on matters regarding director liability. What are some of the things that we need to do to caution our businesses on director liability? Yes.
Now, when you come in with the term director, then we talk about the company.
Yes.
So some of the things to do to cushion the director from the liabilities. One, we have to appreciate the fact that we are dealing with limited liability companies, where all the income and the expenses are on the company, not on the directors, irrespective of the liabilities, whatever nature, whatever amount they are on the company. On some cases, we've seen a situation, on some cases where the what we call the creditors can go to an extent of getting their monies owed by the company from the directors or the shareholders. But this only comes through a court intervention. So when there's a case in court and there is some insolvency and the stuff, where the company is unable to pay their liabilities, we call it an insolvent. It will come for the interpretation by courts how the money can be recovered. Otherwise, in the normal legal framework, the companies are limited by nature. So if the directors want to actually, we are not even talking the directors in this case. What you've referred is the directors, but you have to appreciate in the companies, we have directors and shareholders. The one that comes before or ahead is the shareholder. Those are the ones who are likely to be cushioned. You can be a director without any shares. So for the shareholders, for you to cushion yourself, ensure that there is compliance nature. I said some of the factors to consider is the compliance, legal requirements and compliance. So you need to ensure that the company is compliant, so that whatever is happening is limited to the company. But in a situation where you do business for the company, but you also divert others to your personal expenses, then you want to bring to the company, it will bring in the compliance issue. And at the end of the day, you are likely to have conflict with the law.
Okay. Actually, I meant maybe you are running a business name. You did an advert on Facebook. Some other company feels that there is a breach of patent and they take you to court and you are just a startup. And so you are wondering, where do you get all this money and stuff like that? So when I was asking this question, that is what I had in mind. But I think partially you have tried to address it. I don't know whether you could also add something related to that.
Okay. Now, when you go to court, this one I'll tie it with a question, the last bit of questions registered, asked by Terry is slightly touching on what you're asking. What are the risks
Yeah.
of running unregistered business?
Unregistered business. Yeah, you are right.
Now, the first level of operating or choosing a business type is the legal process, which is registration. Once the business is registered, it is a legal entity. It can stand
Sure.
in any legal institution like a court and defend itself. You are only there to defend it. You are acting on its behalf. But the company, that's why in most cases, even in the political field, when there's a case in court, you see an ODM is sued separately from its leaders. A company is also sued separately from its directors. So when the company commits an offense, it is sued in its own way because it's a legal entity in the face of law. So unless they go an extra mile to find that you also part and parcel of this error, which was caused by the company, then you are sued also separately. The risk of running a registered business is that you'll be liable for the illegality in whatever happened that you carried out. So if you are running an unregistered business and there is somebody who has registered that name and you cause a problem, then you are likely to be taken to court. That you are using somebody's name illegally.
Wow.
Thank you.
That is awesome. I think you've really addressed that so well. I remember sometime back conversing with somebody, and they're running a mega business. Actually, I was really admiring their business, and I'm like, have you registered the business? They tell me no. Asking them why, they tell me no, mi naogopa kasongo. So unajua, when they talk about that, they mean they are trying to run away from tax and just remaining tax compliant. But I think you really addressed that question so well. So I think we will merge these two. There is one question coming from JD and about two questions coming from Terry. I will merge the two so that you can answer them together. Part of the question that was asked by Terry, I think it has been addressed. The implications of running an unregistered business. There was that other question there from Terry. For a youth-led business like agribusiness, fashion, or tech, which structure gives easier access to grants or youth loans, by the way? There's another one there. If I am just starting small, e.g. selling clothes online, and that is a bit of what I was talking about the other time, or baking, do I still need to register for tax? Okay, anyway. Hope you have captured that, our guest. There is also this other question that is been asked by JD. Okay, maybe that is Jedida, I don't know. So if I manage to register my own business, what happens when I am able to pay tax because the business is still fetching low? Is the business name still safe? Back to you, our guest.
Thank you. Question let me start with the one asked by, you said JD. I've managed to register a business. What happens when I'm unable to pay tax because the business is still fetching low? One, the registration of the business is fully under the reserve companies. The tax nature of the business is managed by the KRA, the companies, the countries, tax managers, the collectors of taxes. So the tax is being registered under Tax Procedures Act of 2015. So, and the business is being registered under Business Registration Act with the Register of Companies. So you can register a business today, and you can register a business today. Yes, you have the certificate of registration from the Register of Companies or the businesses, but one, you've not started the business. You start a business 1 year after. Be assured that the business name is safe. Secondly, the tax is only an aspect when you are doing business. So you don't pay any tax unless you are doing a business and you are making a profit. You are only paying tax when you are doing a business and making a profit. In very many cases, you can do a business, but you are still pumping money. Like a good example, a key example is people in the construction industry, where I'm in. I would like to share that brief because in the construction companies, you've been given a contract. In a construction companies, we do what we call valuations. So you do a contract, at some point you are valued. In the process of doing this contract, you are trying to carry on a project, you'll be pumping in money, buying materials, doing things. At that point, you've not issued an invoice. In that case, there is no tax to be paid, but the tax declaration. We have to get things clear. I think there's a session which will come to touch on the tax, only the tax as a topic, so that thing should come clearly. You can
Yes,
only pay a
yes.
tax when there's a business which you're
Yes.
running and you're making a profit. But there's also an aspect of tax declaration where even if you're not, so long as you have a PIN with the KRA, you need to declare, you need to declare returns, not to pay tax, but declare. In other words, you need to file returns. You file nil when there's no business, then you pay tax and file returns when you're doing business. I think I've touched on that. Is there anything that I've not touched? Yeah, on the issue of the first question of Terry, talking about youth-led business like agribusiness, fashion, and tech, which sector give access to grants? One, grants all loans, youth loans. One, we have what we call AGPO. AGPO is what covers the youths and the women and the people with disability. So it does not rely on the nature of business, but it relies on the age, the gender, and the disability status. So if you're a youth, after registering a business name, which can be a sole proprietor, a partnership, or a limited company. In addition to that, please register for AGPO. AGPO registration is free. Register for AGPO so that you have an AGPO. That's why if you see some tenders being advertised by government and government entities, they talk about AGPO. So what can give you access to that if you want to be a youth, running a youth-related business? Also, in addition to register any nature of business, go for AGPO. But I would advise, if you are still running a small business, go for a sole proprietorship, get your footing, then you can still convert, as I advised earlier. So go for AGPO if you are still a youth. They accept up to 35 years. So any age between less than 35 years, you can register for AGPO. The AGPO will give you access to the youth projects. Thank you.
Sorry to ask, does that mean then if you are running a partnership, let's say you are in a limited, a private limited company, as a partner, you cannot be able to be considered under the special category of youth, gender, and disability?
Fine. Now, for the partnership, it works.
Okay.
It works in an event that, one, you must have it should be a combination. That partnership, there should be partners of women. It can be women youth or women and a man who is more than 35 years of age, you can still qualify for AGPO. So long as you prove that the woman has a lot of the
More
control.
shares.
A lot of no,
Okay.
in the partnership, you don't have shares. That's why I'm explaining this.
Okay.
That the partnership, there's no shares. So you have to prove that in what we have, in the agreement we have, she has a lot of control to access AGPO. Now, for the private limited company, to ensure that you qualify for AGPO, then you must make sure that you have a youth who is less than 35 years. Or one of the directors should be a youth of less than 35 years. And second one, the youth should have more shares, more than 70% of the shares, as the majority of the shares. Then you qualify for the AGPO. The same happens when there's a woman who is also a part of the limited company. Ensure that the woman would have the more shares of the limited companies to qualify for the AGPO.
Wow.
Or the person with the disability. The person with the disability should have a certificate from the do we call there's an organization that registers the people with disability. So you should have also that certificate from that organization.
Wow. Okay, that is great. Friends, you can see how we have so much to unpack. Time cannot be really enough to talk about everything. So we are going to be asking the convener to probably consider giving us more time in terms of duration of meeting, or to give us more time in terms of the number of sessions we have in a week. If we could have had more time, I could have given us, one of us here is well experienced with grants, the available grants and how to apply for them and stuff like that. Actually, she's in the meeting right now, but time cannot allow. If you could still have more time, I could have allowed one of us who has really benefited from this thing called AGPO and would have really talked to us about AGPO and how to apply for them and some of the benefits and why we need to apply and stuff like that. So time cannot really be enough, but the convener will see what to do really going forward. So we have so much to talk about. Remember, our guest is really experienced in some of these things. And remember, he's saying that tax cannot be just talked about as a subsection of a topic of discussion for the day. So there is just a particular day that our questions will 100% be revolving around tax. How do you file tax returns and stuff like that? How do we handle e-teams and stuff like that? So time is not on our side. You'll allow me to bring it to a halt at that and invite back our convener back on stage. Back to you, Bwana Bonke. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, thank you. Could we give them a round of applause? Put your hands together for them.
Okay.
Yeah, click the reaction button and let's put hands together for them. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. I'd like to know each one of us who managed to join by their name. I'm seeing a few of us haven't managed to change from my name to their names. I can see Jemima coming, managed to join. Thank you so much. Charles Uching, thank you so much. Peter Mondi, thank you. Irene is here. If your device reads my name, please could you allow me know you? Yeah, I'll be glad to know you. As you do that, this program basically falls under our larger umbrella, the Telispac Academy, and we are having next steps after these sessions. These webinars are basically designed to be a doorway into a vast of possibilities and benefits that you can get from our academy. Just to say them in brief as we bring this to a close, is that we are providing specialized training, learning sessions, and mentorship because we are designing this academy to be a growth and innovation hub where we can help you transform your idea into reality and you can help bridge the gap between talent and opportunity. So once you join any of our classes, you get an opportunity to be guided in a specialized manner. So for example, if you look at our group, you realize that there are subgroups. So basically, we have transformed the group into a community, and within the community, we have cohorts, we have smaller groups. You will see we have AI cohort, we have digital marketing, we have accounting and finance. Simply put, if you're interested in learning any of those topics or advance in any of those areas, feel free to join those classes and we'll be glad to provide specialized guided mentorship on any area you're interested in. So if you are keen on learning more about the topic we have covered today, you can hit me on DM and we'll be glad to schedule those sessions. So moving forward, we'll still be having these sessions, and next week we'll be having another session, and you don't want to miss it. I'll urge you to spread this word to your friends, to your colleagues back in the village. If you have friends abroad, let them know of what we are doing. We are trying to build a community of professionals that will coexist and help build each other, challenge each other, and offer opportunities to help the youths and any other skilled person out there. So if you are keen on joining any of our classes, please join. We start running classes from next week. We start running classes and we'll be kicking it off with those who have joined. It is good we have a few people who have already joined the different classes. We have digital marketing. Some people are there already. We'll be offering tailored sessions for them to help them grow and advance. If you're keen on learning anything, we want to make this the one-stop hub where you can literally learn any skill that you want to learn, business related, leadership related, to help you scale and advance in any area of expertise or interest. So I'm glad to have seen all of you join, and I'd like to bring this to a close. And thank you very much. More people are still joining. Thank you. I'd like to know who is not in our WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group where we coordinate all this and we provide updates on future programs. Are you here and you're not in the WhatsApp group? Could you please shoot your hand up? I'd like to add you to the group. Anyone who is here and is not in the group? All right, feel free to reach out to me for any question. And if you know of anyone who might be interested, I'll repeat, talk to them, add them to join our group, and we will be glad to see something in the chat. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you for the applause. Yeah, I was concluding by saying, if you know of anyone who might be interested to join our sessions, our group, our classes, let them join. We will be teaching people on any skill that is needed in the business space. So with that, I will want to bring this to a close. This session has been recorded, and we are going to fine tune it, edit it, and later we will post it on our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel where we'll be posting all our webinars too, and feel free to interact with them, and it will be a good gesture from you. So once again, thank you. And I hope to see you next week. And also, as we start the classes, I hope to see you subscribe and plug in for whatever sessions you are interested in advancing your skills. So thank you to Eric Okoth. Thank you very much. That was so insightful. I felt like time could not allow you to unpack the practical experience you have gathered in the field for over 10 years. And guys, I am glad to inform you that Mr. Eric Okoth is not only proficient in what he has presented today, he is a man who wears many hats. He is proficient in tax and compliance. He's proficient in things to do with finance, accounting, and I believe in future sessions we'll also have him, and it will be a great moment to hear from him again. So keep an eye in the group. I'll share the poster for next week's session, and we keep learning. Thank you very much for having joined, and bye bye. Unless there is any question, is there any question from anyone? All right, no question. Thank you very much for having joined.